Successful business expectations. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. In working as a business investor, work with a lot of different businesses, different organizations that wouldn't be qualified as a business, different types of people who may or may not refer to themselves as entrepreneurs, and you get a really varied sense of what people consider success and also how people think you get there. It's amazing that so many people can have what they believe to be some form of success, and they all attribute it to different things. In some cases, things that are completely the opposite of each other. And it's one thing I've noticed, because I've been interested in the concept of growing a business and building things and doing things that you want to do in life, and I'm not talking in a greedy way, but in a inspiring way. What if you want to make a difference in the world? What if you want to go out there and do something? And how does one do that? And you read all these books and everything. We talk about them here, all these different, the classics are the most interesting to me, but also all the new stuff and everything that recycles the same ideas. And you get certain things that go through them all. Most of it isn't, though. Most of it, people argue about the details, about what it took for them to get there. Some say it was their relationship with God, and others say, well, God doesn't exist in my world, so how did I make it? And one thing or another. Everyone sees it a little bit differently. I certainly see it differently than a lot of other people too. But there is one area that I haven't been able to get away from. And I've heard everyone talk about it differently, and I think the real problem is that English doesn't really allow us to talk about it properly, because we don't have the proper words. The words we do oftentimes use have multiple definitions, or people have very different ideas of what those words mean, or that it covers so many things. A word like emotions, I know within certain groups of people I know, they very much have a very clear understanding of what the word emotion is to them, and they all use it in the same way. And I talk to another person and they see it in a completely different view, and they use it in a completely different way. And I have found, and this has taken me years to figure out, that they're talking about two different things even though they're using the same word. And this is true throughout. I'm going to stick to the expectations thing, so don't think that I'm trying to lay a little bit of groundwork here to talk about it, because expectations is one of those things that people are talking about, specifically two different things. I'm going to cover those real quick. There's two different things that people call an expectation. One is an emotional expectation, and I don't mean, and even though, like I said, the word emotion has different things, but I want to take the negative end of that. I want to take the fact that people basing their happiness and whether they believe, whether they really, their whole view of the world and their internal happiness on an actual outcome. And they have that type of emotional investment to something very specific in a specific time in a specific way. And I think that's a setup for failure. And I think most people who consider themselves failures did that at one point. I've mentioned it before. At one point this was during my high school and just post-high school years, I ran for a state officership in the California State FFA, the Future Farmers of America. There were 6 positions to run for. I did it twice. Failed both times, but I was so certain that if I just gave it my all and did everything I felt I possibly could do to reach the point that it's a given, I will get it. And it's just not true. Sometimes, and I wasn't allowed to run again. Now there are certain things I think that if you spend enough time pounding at it, eventually you're going to get through it. But certain things have a date set on them, and you can't do anything about it. You could do your best up to that certain point, and then it's done. The best things in life are the ones that allow you as much time as necessary to be able to make it happen. But every once in a while you get those things that you don't have any control over, and there's not much you can do about it. And I was emotionally invested in a bad way in that situation. I had the emotional expectation that it was just going to happen. When it didn't, not only was I crushed because I didn't get what I wanted, I was crushed because my entire worldview got flushed down the toilet pretty quickly. And I was relatively young, and I was 18 and 19 years old. So when it finally dawned on me that it wasn't going to happen, I was 19 years old, and I had things switched for me really quick overnight, which is good. It's good that if you could have that happen when you're young, that's great, because it kind of set me up to watch for that in the future. It also made me a little bit gun shy, but don't miss the point. There is a form of emotional expectation to where you put yourself into it and you lose yourself in a goal. And even then, the goal becomes a bad word, because it's not the same thing as a good goal, as a good expectation, and having good emotions in it. Now, this type of emotions, I would say, when you're talking good emotions, we're talking good emotions, this is more talking about it's something deeper than what you would consider just regular emotions. It's not something that's an ego thing. It's something deeper. There's a sense of destiny about it. There's a sense of direction. There's something just way down deep that this is the direction that I'm going in, and it's going to happen. And even to the point to where you feel like you don't even have a say in it, that it's just going to happen. You just have a sense of it. And I found that those expectations, they're a little less date-oriented, but you know it's going to happen. You know it has to happen. That there's a certain finality about it, and in that finality is the expectation. You just know that you know that you know it's going to happen. That emotional expectation, I wish I had another word other than emotional. It's something deeper than emotional. That purposeful, meaningful, deep expectation is what I've found everyone that's ever had any form of success, or something that they deemed as success, and it hasn't destroyed them, so you know it was a good thing in their life. Anyone who's gotten to that point, they all say they had a piece of that. They had a sense that it was coming. They had a feeling for it, even to the point to where they didn't, even though they were doing the work necessary, they were putting themselves out there, they were moving in that direction, they were putting themselves into it. It was beyond them, that there was something bigger at hand, whatever you want to call that. I'm not going to get into the deep philosophical, religious, spiritual, all that stuff right here, but that type of expectation is something you just can't beat. And I don't think there's a way around it to really achieve true success. Even the word success, it doesn't mean, it means something different to everyone at any given time, and it has a whole lot of false meaning to it. A lot of us set up these ideas of success that aren't real. But there is a real success, and to achieve that, you do have to have that real expectation, and you got to put yourself out there and jump into it and know that it's going to happen. I'm going to talk more about that in the future, but this is all the time we got. You have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.